My fiancée said, ship your children off so my brother can move in. So I called off the wedding and watched her life fall apart. The first time I met Elena was at a yacht club gala, and I was wearing a suit that didn't quite fit anymore. My name is Marcus. I'm 38 years old, and I live in Rockport, a small but busy coastal town in Massachusetts. I run a marine repair shop that's been in my family for 2 generations. I work there with my kids, Max and Lucy, 10 and 12. It's been just the 3 of us since my wife died 3 years ago in a ferry accident. I'd say we were getting by, but really, we were just learning how to live with the hole she left behind. The gala wasn't my kind of place. One of our longtime clients had invited me as a thank you, and I figured it wouldn't hurt to network a bit. That's where I saw her, Elena. She was working the room like she owned it. Bright red dress, clipboard in hand, laughing with a group of board members and wait staff like they were all on the same team. She looked like she belonged. I looked like someone who fixed outboard motors for a living, which, to be fair, I did. She walked up to me just as I was thinking about sneaking out early. I haven't seen you before. Are you a boat guy or a board member? I smiled. Definitely boat guy. Marcus. I own Rockport Marine Repair. Elena, she said, shaking my hand like it was a real meeting. Event planner. Technically not invited either. Want a refill? She was quick, sharp, and totally comfortable in a room that made me sweat. I think that's what drew me in right away. She didn't just talk, she noticed things. And more than that, she noticed me. We started seeing each other not long after that night. At first, it was just dinners, low-key stuff. She came by the shop once to surprise me with sandwiches. Even wore sneakers, though she admitted they were just for show. Meeting the kids was my idea. I didn't want to keep parts of my life in separate boxes. Elena dove right in. Took Max and Lucy paddleboarding on a calm Saturday. Got soaked and laughed the whole time. Another weekend, she brought tickets for the aquarium and actually read all the plaques. Max told me afterward that she wasn't totally boring, which was high praise. I could tell Lucy was more reserved. She was always polite, but I'd catch her glancing at Elena from the corner of her eye, trying to size her up. Still, she never acted out or complained. I figured it was just going to take time. After all, nobody was trying to replace their mom. We were just learning how to live again. One night, Elena stayed late after the kids went to bed. We sat on the back deck, looking out at the water. "You've built something really solid here," she said, watching the moonlight hit the hulls of a few moored boats. "I can see why people depend on you." That stuck with me. Back then, I still thought we were building something together. The first time I realized something was really off was when I came home to find a brand new rug in the entryway, some sleek, modern thing with sharp lines and colors that didn't belong anywhere near my old boat shop home. "Elena," I called out, setting my keys down. "Did we get robbed and redecorated?" She popped out from the kitchen, smiling like she'd just won a prize. "Do you like it?" I figured we could use a more updated look. "Your old one smelled like seawater and—" "I don't know. Engine grease." "Yeah, well, probably because it's been around seawater and engine grease," I said lightly. She laughed, but I didn't. Over the next couple of weeks, the changes came faster. New throw pillows. Art pieces I didn't recognize. A wire sculpture of a fish that replaced Max's framed drawing from 3rd grade. One afternoon, I walked into the kids' shared project room, basically their little creative cave, and froze. The long table where Lucy built her Lego cities and Max worked on model boats was gone. "What happened to the table?" I asked, heart in my throat. Elena looked up from her laptop. "Oh, that old thing?" It was wobbly. I had Hank from the gallery haul it out. "I'm thinking we turn this into a minimalist guest space. Light colors, maybe a daybed. I already found some ideas on Pinterest." I stared at her. "Elena, that was their space. They spend hours in here." She tilted her head. "Sweetie, they have bedrooms. I just thought this room had more potential. Don't you want the house to feel grown up?" I didn't answer. I just walked out and called Max and Lucy into the kitchen after dinner. "Hey," I said gently. "Did you know Elena moved your project stuff?" They exchanged glances. Lucy nodded slowly. "She said we could still use the dining table," Max mumbled. I sat there, watching them, and something tugged at my gut. Later that night, Lucy came into my room while I was folding laundry. She stood there for a moment before speaking. "I heard her talking to someone," she said softly. "On the phone. She said something about boarding schools. That it would be easier. She said we were smart kids, and gifted programs would be a good fit." I dropped the shirt in my hands. "Are you sure?" I asked. She nodded. She said it like we wouldn't be around much longer. I felt my throat tighten. The next morning, I waited until Elena was making her smoothie to bring it up. "Hey," I said, keeping my tone even. "Lucy said she overheard you talking about boarding schools." She didn't flinch. "Oh, that? It was just a conversation with my friend. Her kid's at one of those elite academies in Vermont. We were chatting about how amazing they are. Nothing serious." "She said you mentioned our kids specifically," I replied. Elena raised an eyebrow. I mean, yeah, I said Max and Lucy would do great in a program like that. It was a compliment. It didn't sound like one. She set her blender down and crossed her arms. I think you're reading too much into this. I was just having a conversation about possibilities. Isn't it our job to explore opportunities for them? I didn't say anything, because deep down, I could hear what she wasn't saying. It wasn't about opportunity. It was about control, about making space. First the furniture, then their hobbies, then them. She wasn't trying to make a home with us. She was trying to make a home without them. And I couldn't shake the feeling that she was just getting started. At first, the comments felt harmless. Have you ever thought about knocking out this wall? Elena asked one afternoon, standing in the middle of the living room above my shop. It would open the space up, make it feel less. I don't know, claustrophobic. I chuckled, thinking she was joking. It's been this way since I was a kid. Built-in charm. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Yeah, definitely charming. Just feels a little outdated, you know? I didn't think much of it. Elena was a planner. Details were her whole world. She liked structure, flow, aesthetics. I figured she was just being herself. But the suggestions kept coming. One Saturday morning, I came in from working on a skiff behind the shop to find her rearranging the kids' den. I had a vision, she said brightly, gesturing at the yoga mat and standing lamp where Lucy's reading chair used to be. This space would make an amazing Zen studio. Just imagine, salt lamp here, low shelving, meditation cushions. I blinked. You moved their stuff? Just a trial run. Don't worry, it's all in the closet. I didn't argue, but I moved everything back the next day. Lucy didn't say a word when she saw her corner returned, just gave me a quiet smile and went back to her book. Then came the travel talk. She'd bring it up casually, in between bites of takeout or during late-night conversations when the kids were asleep. Once we're married, I'd love to travel more, she said once, lying on the couch beside me. Long stretches. Like a few months in Bali. Or maybe Barcelona. We could rent out this place and just go. I glanced at her. And the kids? Well, of course they'd come if it made sense. But there are amazing schools abroad, too. Or summer programs. I'm just saying we shouldn't be tied down by routine. Life's too short. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and changed the subject. Because I wasn't ready to get into it. Not yet. Elena didn't talk much about her family, but she mentioned her brother, Victor, often, and never fondly. Victor's a disaster, she told me once. He can't keep a job, can't keep a girlfriend, can't even keep his car clean. And somehow, he still thinks the world owes him something. She'd roll her eyes, then add, but he's my brother. What can you do? Still, for someone who always had something negative to say about him, she sure defended him a lot. One night, she went on for 15 minutes about how his boss was unreasonable for firing him just because he was a few days late on some paperwork. I didn't press. I just listened. And I'm not sure why, but despite all of this, despite the tension I could feel buzzing under the surface, I still proposed. It was during a sunset cruise I had booked for her birthday. The harbor was quiet, the water calm, the sky streaked with orange and purple. She cried when I asked, said yes before I even finished the question. In that moment, I let myself believe we were heading in the same direction. Looking back, I think I just wanted it to be true. It was a Friday night, a couple of weeks after the boarding school talk, when Elena told me Victor would be joining us for dinner. Just a quick visit, she said while plating grilled salmon like we were hosting royalty. He's in between things and passing through. I thought it'd be nice. In between what things? I asked, trying to keep it light. She waved it off. You know Victor. Always chasing something new. That should have been my first clue. Victor showed up wearing a rumpled button-up, sunglasses on top of his head even though it was dark out. He walked in like he owned the place, tossed his duffel bag by the stairs, and said, "So this is the famous boathouse, huh? Smells like seaweed and effort." The kids were sitting at the table. Lucy glanced at Max. Max glanced at me. I forced a smile. We sat down to eat. Victor talked, and talked, and talked. I'm just saying, he declared halfway through the meal, stabbing a piece of asparagus with his fork. Society's rigged. You work your ass off. And for what? To pay taxes and die? That's why I got out of the rat race. Freedom, man. That's where it's at. What exactly do you do for work, Victor? I asked. He grinned. Entrepreneur. Freelance projects. Creative consulting. Uh-huh, I said, taking a sip of water. Most people don't get it, he added, turning to Max, but maybe you will someday. Max just blinked at him and went back to eating his rice. After dinner, I started clearing plates while Victor flopped onto the couch with a beer from the fridge, one he didn't ask for. Elena followed me into the kitchen, like she didn't notice. He's harmless, she said softly. Just opinionated. I didn't answer. That night, after the kids went to bed, Elena brought it up. Victor's looking for a place to stay after the wedding, she said casually, pouring herself a glass of wine. Just for a few weeks. Until he figures things out. I turned slowly to look at her. Here. Well, it's not like we don't have space, she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Elena, I said carefully, he's not staying here. Her smile faltered. Why not? He's my brother. Because I have kids. And I don't know him. You met him. Exactly. She crossed her arms, wine glass in hand. This is temporary, Marcus. You're making it bigger than it is. No, I said, sharper now. You're the one making decisions without asking. This is my house. This is my kid's home. You don't get to invite people in without talking to me first. She looked stung but didn't back down. Then came the next wave. Elena brought up boarding schools again. Lucy told me the next day. Said she found one with horses and music classes. She said you were thinking about it. I sat there, stunned. That night, I confronted her. Are you serious? I asked. You told Lucy I was considering boarding school? Elena rolled her eyes. I was trying to help. You're overwhelmed, Marcus. You're running a business and raising 2 kids alone. It's too much. Structure would be good for them. I stepped back like she'd slapped me. You don't get to make those decisions, I said coldly. And if you bring it up again, to me or to them, we're done. She narrowed her eyes. I'm just trying to make this house functional. It's not a house, I said. It's a family. And you're not part of it if you keep trying to rearrange everyone's lives like they're furniture. She didn't answer. She just walked out of the room. But I could feel it. Her and Victor weren't going anywhere. Not unless I made them. It happened on a Tuesday night, quiet, ordinary, like most breaking points are. The kids had gone to bed. I was sitting at the kitchen table, half reading a report from the marina, trying to focus, when Elena came in. She didn't say anything at first. Just poured herself a glass of water and stood there like she was waiting for the air to shift. Then, calmly, she said, we need to talk. I looked up. Okay. She sat down across from me, back straight, eyes hard. This isn't working. I raised an eyebrow. What's not working? She took a breath. The current arrangement. You, the kids, me trying to blend into a life that's frozen in place. It's exhausting. I shut the folder. What are you saying, Elena? She leaned forward, lowering her voice like it was a business deal. I've given this a lot of thought. If we're serious about getting married, and I mean really making this work, then some things need to change. Like what? Like the kids, she said, without hesitation. They need structure, direction, a real plan. That boarding school I mentioned, it's not a punishment. It's an opportunity, and it would free up space. For us. It hit like a punch. You're telling me I need to send my kids away, I said slowly, so Victor can move in? Her eyes didn't waver. Victor's struggling, Marcus. He needs stability. He deserves a chance. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. And my kids don't? They'll be fine, she said, as if that settled it. They're smart. Resilient. It's just a few years. No. She blinked. What? No, I said again, standing up now, heat rising in my chest. You're asking me to trade my kids' home for your brother's crash pad. You're asking me to ship them off like luggage so you can live more comfortably. Her face twisted, tight and sharp. I'm asking you to prioritize our future. I am, I said, voice rising. And our future doesn't exist if it means pushing my kids out of their own lives. She stood, her voice sharper now. You're being stubborn. No, I snapped. I'm being a father. The silence that followed felt like glass, thin, tense, waiting to shatter. Her face changed then. The calm, collected planner disappeared. She looked at me like I had just ruined everything she'd mapped out in her head. You're going to throw away everything we've built over this? She asked, voice cracking slightly. If you think we've built something on top of pushing my kids out, then it wasn't worth building. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She grabbed her bag, slung it over her shoulder, and walked to the door. You're sabotaging your own future, Marcus, she spat. You'll regret this. I didn't follow her. I didn't say another word. The door slammed, echoing through the house. I stood there in the kitchen, hands clenched, chest burning, but clear. Because for the first time since she walked into my life, I finally saw what she wanted. And it wasn't a family. It was a vacancy. Victor showed up the next morning with a duffel bag and a smirk. I'd barely poured my coffee when I heard the knock. It wasn't the kind of knock you expect from someone who's about to apologize. It was slow, heavy, and confident. Like someone who'd already decided how things were going to go. I opened the door, and there he was. Sunglasses on, even though it was cloudy, with a cigarette tucked behind his ear. Morning, big guy, he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Got room upstairs? I didn't move. What are you talking about? Elena said it was all set. He dropped his bag by the stairs and stretched like he was getting ready to settle in. Told me she handled it. I stared at him, heart thudding. She's not here. She left last night. Victor raised an eyebrow. She'll be back. You two always fight, right? She said it's just part of your thing. You yell. She explains, then you cave. You'll get over it. I stepped in front of him. You're not staying here, Victor. He laughed like I'd made a joke. Come on, man. I've already got stuff in the Uber. You've got the space. What's the big deal? The big deal, I said slowly, is that you're not my family. And you don't get to move into my house just because your sister made promises she had no right to make. He rolled his eyes. Man, you really take yourself seriously. No, I said, stepping forward now, voice low and tight. I take my kids seriously, and I'm not letting some overgrown teenager crash in their home. Just then, the front door opened again. Elena walked in like she was coming home from a jog. No knock. No explanation. She froze when she saw me. Then Victor. Hey, she said cautiously. Can we talk? Already did, I said. Victor was just leaving. Marcus, come on. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I turned to her. You told him it was settled? Her face tightened. I assumed, after we cooled down. You assumed I'd do what? Ship off my kids, roll out the guest towels, and welcome your brother like this was some kind of hostel. Victor scoffed. You're being real dramatic, man. I turned on him. You need to leave. Now. He didn't move. I stepped toward him. You step out that door, Victor, or I call the police and explain you just entered a home you don't live in, after being told not to. You want that kind of conversation in front of my kids? That finally did it. He grabbed his bag, muttering under his breath, and shoved past Elena on the way out. She stood there, arms crossed, jaw clenched. I can't believe you're doing this. I shook my head, calm now. You really thought you could dismantle our lives, and I'd just go along with it. I thought you loved me. I thought you loved us, I said. Turns out you only loved the parts you could control. She blinked hard. I'm calling off the engagement, I said, voice steady. I want you out. Today. Her face crumpled, just for a second. Then she nodded stiffly, turned, and left without another word. And just like that, the storm finally broke. The front door shut. And this time, it stayed shut. It started with a whisper. First, one of my marina clients canceled a routine maintenance job. No reason given. Just said they'd be going in another direction. Then another client called to check in and ended up asking if I'd really kicked Elena out of the house just because she had family needs. I didn't think much of it at first. People talk, especially in small towns like Rockport. But the tone kept shifting. At the grocery store, Mrs. Pennington, who'd known my late wife since high school, avoided eye contact. When I said hello, she nodded but didn't smile. That's when it hit me. Elena wasn't just gone. She was rewriting the story. By the end of that week, I knew for sure. A former client, who also served on the yacht club board, pulled me aside. Hey, Marcus, he said awkwardly. I heard some things. About Elena. She says you got controlling, that you shut her out. Said you were harsh with the kids. That she left because she feared what kind of father you were becoming. I stood there stunned. She said what? I didn't believe it, he said quickly. Just thought you should know. Word was spreading. Fast. It was a smear campaign, quiet but intentional. Elena didn't confront me. She didn't call. She just poisoned the well and let the rumors do the rest. Max came home from school one day looking confused. Dad, my friend Liam said his mom said you're in trouble. Are we in trouble? I knelt down. No, buddy. We're okay. Some grown-ups are saying things that aren't true. But we're okay. That night, I changed the locks. I wasn't sure if she'd ever try to come back, but I didn't want to leave the door open, literally or otherwise. I also sat the kids down and made it clear. If Elena or Victor tries to call you, message you, or shows up somewhere, come to me right away. No matter what. Lucy nodded. Max looked a little scared, but he said, Okay, Dad. I didn't go public. I didn't post anything. I didn't blast her online or call the yacht club to defend myself. Instead, I went quiet. I called a few key clients, the ones I trusted, and had calm, clear conversations. Told them the truth. Nothing dramatic. Just the facts. Things ended badly. I made some tough decisions as a father. That's all. Most of them appreciated the honesty. Some didn't respond. But the people who mattered stayed. That was enough. I leaned on the people I could count on. My crew at the shop, a few old friends from high school, even my neighbor Jim, who started inviting Max to help him fix up his old rowboat on weekends. It hurt to be questioned, to be doubted by people who once shook my hand with respect. But I held firm. Because in a town full of gossip, the truth has a way of settling. And I wasn't about to let lies rewrite who I was. Not to my kids, not to my community, and not to myself. I found out through the local news app, of all places. Local woman defrauded by brother. Thousands missing from personal accounts. The article was short, vague, and careful with its language. No names were listed, but I knew. Anyone who knew Elena would know. Especially anyone who knew Victor. He hadn't just left town. He'd emptied her accounts before doing it. Apparently, while Elena had been laying low, telling people I was unstable, Victor had been helping himself to her savings. Not just a few hundred. Thousands. Gone. That night, I stayed up late at the shop, restocking inventory. Around 10, headlights flashed in the driveway. I thought it was Jim from next door dropping something off, but when I opened the door, it was Elena. She looked nothing like the woman who'd tried to redesign my life. Her hair was unkempt. Her coat hung awkwardly on her frame. She wasn't crying, but her eyes were red. She was holding a tote bag like she didn't know where else to go. "Marcus," she said, almost in a whisper. I didn't say anything, just crossed my arms and waited. She stepped forward. "Can I come in?" "No," I said. Her shoulders sagged. I didn't know where else to go. "Sounds like Victor didn't either," I said flatly. "But he figured it out." She swallowed hard. "He took everything. My savings. My laptop. He even pawned my jewelry. I didn't even realize until the bank called. He disappeared. He's not answering." "Elena," I interrupted. "I'm sorry he did that to you. Really. But you're not coming in." Her face crumpled. "I'm not here to stay. I wanted to talk. I don't know who to trust." I looked at her for a long time. "Did you think about trust?" I asked quietly. "When you were telling people I was dangerous? That I was unstable? That I was a bad father? That wasn't what I—" "It's exactly what you said," I cut in. "You tried to turn this town against me. You tried to paint me as the villain because I wouldn't bend to your idea of what a family should look like. And now you want what, sympathy? A place to rest." She didn't answer, just stood there, the silence growing heavy between us. I shook my head. "You chose him over us. Over Max and Lucy. Over a family that tried to make space for you. And now he's gone and you're back like nothing happened." "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I thought I was helping him." "No," I said. "You were helping yourself. You thought if you packaged it well enough, called it structure, called it vision, you could get what you wanted. But this was never about family. It was about control." Tears welled in her eyes now. "I just wanted a fresh start. And you had one," I said, stepping back toward the door. "You had a good man, 2 great kids, a stable home. But it wasn't shiny enough for you." She stood there for another moment, as if hoping I'd change my mind. I didn't. She turned and walked back to her car. No threats. No final words. Just the sound of tires crunching gravel as she drove away. And me, standing in the doorway, watching her go. For good, this time. The morning I canceled the wedding for good, the sky over Rockport was clear and quiet. No clouds, no storms. Just blue, wide and honest. I remember thinking it felt like a reset. I called the venue first. Then the caterer. The yacht club. The string quartet Elena had insisted on. Most of them had already suspected the wedding wasn't happening, based on the silence and the change in tone. Nobody asked questions. Just processed the cancellations and wished me well. When the last invoice was closed and the final deposit was refunded, I sat on the shop steps with a coffee in one hand and a screwdriver in the other. For the first time in months, I could breathe. That weekend, I took the kids to the beach. Not the touristy one, but the little rocky inlet tucked behind the lighthouse where Lucy used to collect shells and Max liked to skip stones. We brought sandwiches, a cooler of root beer, and an old frisbee with bite marks from our old dog, Harper. No big agenda. Just us. They were quiet at first, like they weren't sure what mood I was in. But after Max tripped in the sand and Lucy nearly cried laughing, it all came back. Their ease, their rhythm, the way they existed in the world without needing to explain themselves. That night, I tucked them both in and kissed their foreheads like I used to when they were smaller. "I know it's been weird," I said to Lucy as I pulled her blanket up, "but I'm really proud of you. Both of you." She looked up at me. "Are we okay now?" "Yeah," I said. "We're more than okay." Later, I sat on the back deck and watched the dock lights flicker on across the harbor. The breeze carried the smell of salt and pine and motor oil from the shop below. It smelled like home. Inside, the rooms were starting to look like they used to. Max had his model boat tools back on the table. Lucy's bookshelf had reappeared in the corner of the den. No more sculptures or white rugs. Just our old things, worn in and real. I thought about Elena sometimes, not with anger, just a quiet ache. The version of her I fell for, the one who laughed with my kids and brought soup when I worked late. I think she meant well. I just don't think she ever really saw us. Not the way we are. Only the way she wanted us to be. It took me a while to realize the difference. I'm not sure what comes next. I've got work to do, boats to fix, a house to finish putting back together. But I know one thing. I'll never again confuse disruption for love. I'll never again invite someone in who asks for a clean slate by erasing what was already good. We weren't perfect, but we were whole. And now, without the noise, without the schemes, without the siege, we're finally at peace. Home again. Just us 3. And that's more than enough.